What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Paul. This is the Leeds Therapy. Thank you ever so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. If you've not done so already, if you could hit the subscribe button for me, if you could like the video for me as well, turn your notifications on. Any comments that you want to make, please feel free, leave them in the comment section down below. And yeah, let's get into it. So we are looking at our result of 1-1 against Norwich. It's my initial reaction, I think, is probably the best place to start, is you take the point and you run. Norwich are unbeaten, in the last 22 games at home, so it's just one of those things. I think they're one of the better teams that we faced this season, by a country mile. So, you know, I think we all felt like 4 points over these next two games would have been good, but I mean overall it was a bit of a weird game. Let's get the referee out of the way. He wanted to be he wanted to make it all about him throughout the game, and I'm not just talking about for things that he did against us. I'm talking about the stuff that he did against Norwich at the same time as well. I think he was appalling for the majority of the match, and yeah, was about making himself the star of the show and the centre of attention. And like, we get booked for a tackle, they don't get booked for a clear tackle on Aronson. It's just a lot of that kind of inconsistency that's going on, and it spoiled for me what could have been a really good flow to the game. My obviously biggest concern is the fact that Gruev has gone off injured. Farker has come out and said that they're not sure, it needs to be assessed. So I'm praying that it's not the same thing that Ampadu had. So with the changes that needed to be made, obviously Tanaka was already in there, but then you've got to bring in Rothwell as well. So it's Rothwell and Tanaka that are playing the game. It disjointed us quite a lot in terms of they had to, it was a baptism of fire for them. They were having to get used to playing with each other and playing together and where they needed to position themselves. So we looked a little bit lost in the midfield at the start, but as the game wore on, especially into the second half, they started to get their positions together a little bit more and worked it a little bit better. I thought Aronson was okay, but he was a little bit anonymous first half. Ramazani as well, not as good in the first half, but much better in the second half. Nonto, for me, man of the match. I'm seeing more and more mature performances from Nonto, so just him getting and buzzing around the place and everything, and his set-up ball for the goal for Ramazani was brilliant. That finish for Ramazani was beautiful as well. And it was quite evident for me that once we started to dominate the game a little bit more, once sort of our centre midfield had sorted themselves out a little bit, any time that we may have been caught with space in behind, I was never really concerned. Obviously there's the goal that came in, but I was never really concerned when they were running at us with pace, because just our defence is solid. We created 14 chances away from home, which is decent, and the home side only created 7, so our defence is still doing a really good job of strangling teams, which is what you want to see, particularly away from home. And overall, I take the point around. Would I have liked the 3 points? Of course I would. You know, we're all fans, we all want to see our team win. However, with that being said, you take it and you move on to the next game. We haven't lost, and in essence we moved from what we were 6th, we moved from 6th to 4th. So we've gained two places by drawing and other teams around us losing. Blackburn, who were doing really well, got beat 3-0 by Coventry tonight. So it's all relative. It's all relative in terms of the way that it works. West Brom, that were running away with it, are now 3rd. Yeah, you got Sunderland and Burnley that are now occupying the top 2 spots. But we win against Sunderland on Friday night. Again, it's looking even more healthier in terms of the way that it works. So it's, you know, it's one of them weird things. You feel disappointed because you want to win every single game, but then when you look at it in the cold, hard light of day, you take the point, because 3 games in 6 days. And clearly, obviously, I know a lot of people complained about the substitutions, and they did confuse me a little bit in terms of who was brought on, Sapiru and Bamford and Joseph, who I think struggled a little bit today, but in terms of the creation of chances for him, they weren't as high as what they normally would be. And I think again, that was a little bit to do with Aronson not having his best game, although he was okay, and just the two centre midfielders just still trying to, work themselves out and work out where they needed to be and everything. But yeah, the substitutes were slightly weird in terms of they completely took the sting out of the game. Bar the save that Meslier makes off of the deflected cross from Rodon. We'll get onto the penalty in a second. He doesn't really have very much else to do in that game. The penalty, I think he should have saved it. It's a difficult one. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because he's moving to the right and then he has to readjust himself to the left. But in hindsight, looking at it, if he just sticks his leg out, then he saves it. So it's those fine margins. Rodon should have stayed on his feet, should have 100% stayed on his feet. He didn't need to slide in. And I think the reason that he does that is because he thinks a shot's coming in potentially. But again, for the main defence, I'm pleased with. It's just that obviously the potential injury to Gruev. We've got other situations with other players that are off as well through injury at the same time. I think we'll be all right on Friday. I think we need to get obviously Tanaka and Rothwell playing together, and hopefully we'll be better than what we are. So I'm okay with the result itself. Yes, of course, I would have preferred a win, but you just take it and you move on. That's what you've got to do. It's a point gained rather than 2 points dropped from a losing position. I didn't think we were going to get back into the game, in all honesty, because I felt like Norwich would probably sit really, really deep and just try to catch us on the break, and they didn't. And it got a bit basketball-y towards the end. It was clearly two teams that were very knackered as well. You could tell both teams were tired by the end of the game. I think Ramazani was only supposed to play 60 minutes. I think Nonto was struggling to tackle back at one point. So, yeah, You've got to think of the long game with this, I suppose, at the same time as well, because you can't go balls to the wall all the time, because it's difficult when you just try to sort of pick up points and kind of to kind of waddle your way to the next international break, which, yeah, me being the biggest proponent of hating them, thinks we could really, really do with it now. So, yeah, that's going to do it for this one. I just wanted to give a quick initial reaction to the game. We take the point, we move on. We're sitting fourth in the league with a really decimated squad in terms of injuries and players that are currently on the sidelines. So that's the positive that I'm going to take away from that almost with a kind of makeshift kind of squad, we're doing really, really well. And that's not even taking into consideration, Solomon coming back, Dan James coming back. Obviously, you've got Ampadu and Rothwell as well. And just, yeah, it's like this is just really bizarre. It's just a really, really bizarre evening overall, but we take the point and we move on. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button. If you're new to the channel as well, like I said at the start, if you could hit the subscribe button, if you could turn your notifications on. Any comments that you want to make, put them down in the bottom. You're probably going to agree or disagree with me, but yeah, that'll do it for this Tuesday night. I think we all still have the Tuesday night PTSD, unfortunately. Take care of each other. More importantly, take care of yourself. And I will see you on the next one. Cheers.